Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it is your girl Christiana Faith. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the Love is Blind season finale, child. And I'm sorry if you hear noise in my background. I am at my salon suite and there are other suites around me and there's a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of chitter chatter, but yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. When I tell you, this show has literally been going downhill season by season by season. When are they gonna wrap it up? Okay, so when the episode starts, we get Chelsea and Jimmy. When I tell you, I get whiplash every time Chelsea and Jimmy come on the screen because they're arguing and then they make up and then they argue and then they make up. And then Jimmy is always just like, I love you, Chelsea, so much. And then Chelsea is always like, but you called me clingy. Why would you do that? So when I saw them come back on camera from last episode, when Jimmy asked Chelsea, oh, how do you feel about us getting married? I don't know where you stand. I was like, are they really about to argue, or like, is this like clickbait? Child, I was not expecting what happened to happen next. Basically, Jimmy asked Chelsea, how do you feel? Chelsea was like, you know what, we've had our ups and downs. We've been through so much together, but I still want to go to the altar with you. And she was like, how do you feel? So then Jimmy is like, you know what, I don't want to go to the altar. When I tell you my jaw dropped, here's the clip of my real reaction.
The rest of the guys and the rest of the couples, you said it.
And I said it because we were working on some things, and I thought that we have, and
He said he don't want to go to the altar.
that you're not going, like you're sad, I'm not going, right? Am I getting that? You're sad.
I was not expecting Jimmy to stand on business, period. I was like, no way. So basically, Jimmy said that he decided that he can't go to the altar because of all of the arguments that they've had. And I think the most recent one was, well, it wasn't an argument. He said that when she said that Amy and Johnny were like the best couple or the strongest couple, that rubs him the wrong way. Now, when we go back to the previous episode, I believe he did mention it to her, but then he brushed it off like it was a joke. And he was like, no, I'm just kidding with you. You know, I'm just yanking your chain, that type of thing. So clearly this thing really obviously hurt Jimmy's feelings. I don't know why. I don't know why he thought Chelsea and him were the best couple. In my opinion, they were like the only couple that honestly made no entire sense in my brain. Like, it just did not make sense. Like 1 + 1 was not equaling 2 with these two. I feel like he really wasn't feeling her from the beginning, from like the whole Megan Fox thing, which is like a whole thing that I'm sure y'all already know. So that was a phrase that was the breaking point for Jimmy. And he also said that it was because they were always arguing. And I think like their last argument, Chelsea was like, oh, I don't want to do this or whatever. And Jimmy also mentioned when Chelsea brought up on camera that he slept with his best friend, that was a deal breaker. And let me tell you about that. So when that scene happened a few episodes ago, as soon as it happened, I was just like, jaw dropped, okay? And the reason why my jaw dropped, because Jimmy said, I told you this off camera, and I said I didn't want to speak about it, and Chelsea kept going about it. As soon as he said, I told you this off camera, I was like, oh, this girl has no boundaries. She has no chill button. She literally does not give an F. And for me, I thought he was going to leave her right then and there, because if my significant other crossed a boundary like that, especially on this type of show, knowing these producers, they do not give a flying anything. I'm like, girl, why would you bring that up on camera after meeting his friends and he told you this in confidence? Like, we're not even going to get into the many times that Chelsea has been dead wrong. But I'm like, with this specifically, I expected Jimmy to pack his bags and leave instantly and don't pass go, don't collect 200, and don't come back to her and just leave and just go back to where he came from. But of course, in true Chelsea fashion, Chelsea was not understanding. She was like, so you just want to leave me for one argument? She was basically minimizing the whole situation and at the same time also throwing it back in his face that he slept with his best friend. And also, while she's doing that, she's also naming all of the reasons why she didn't feel comfortable like talking to him and stuff like that. So when she did all of that, I was like, it kind of sounds like you shouldn't be marrying him, because if you feel like you can't talk to him because he's going to get upset or whatever else she said, I'm like, those are also valid reasons for you not to marry him either in this time frame. So also, as they're still going back and forth, Jimmy is basically like, you violated my trust, and it's not even about me and like my reputation. You basically ruined my best friend's reputation as well. Like, you violated that. And she's just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that like I ruined your big secret of you effing your best friend. Da, 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 da. Still throwing it back in his face. So he was like, yeah, keep going and making me realize that like what I'm doing is the right decision. And I was just like, is this real? Because I'm just like, y'all, they argue so much. They go back and forth so much. I'm just like, is this really the final argument? Child, so Chelsea, she ends up getting up and she ends up walking away, and she ends up crying, I think near like the roller coaster or something like that. And I'm telling you, even when she was over there crying, I was like, no, they're gonna get back together, because this is the usual Jimmy and Chelsea. No, Jimmy was still sitting there like, I love you, Chelsea. I just don't want to get married right now. Child, get up off my screen. Get up off my screen. I am tired of the freaking shenanigans that this show brings us every year, but I low-key love it. Next, we have the bridal party. Obviously, it's only AD and what's her name? Amy left. I'm not gonna talk too much about the bridal party, only because it was literally only them two. There was only a few moments that I remembered where I was like, girl, you're weird. So let's get into it. The weird part that I did not like was when AD commented on Amy and Johnny's sexual relations. And basically she was like, she didn't believe it. And I was just like, oh my God, why would you say that, AD? Like, and she didn't even just say she didn't believe it. She was like, no, they're bumping and grinding. I don't believe it. And I was just like, girl, why would you say that? Like, I don't know. I thought that was weird. But yeah, they looked like they was having a good old funky time. AD was grinding on Clay's picture, because we know AD is head over heels for Clay. I feel like Clay could have had a gun to AD's head and she would still be like, I do. Because, Okay, so let's get into Clay and AD's wedding. So obviously AD, she looked very beautiful. I love the support that she has around her from her sisters. And I think she said that little girl is her niece and her mom. I just really love the support. I love seeing that. She looks genuinely excited to marry Clay. And I know I haven't posted any other videos reacting to the other episodes, but let me tell you, I don't support this union at all. I don't think Clay really likes her, but we're just gonna keep on going with this episode. So basically, she's really excited. Oh, I'm about to marry Clay. So we get to Clay's suite, and of course, he's like, you know, dapping up his homeboys. I feel like Clay literally doesn't take anything about this process seriously. Everything is a joke to him. I don't know if he came on this show with the true intentions, simply because of things that he has said in the past episodes. Like, oh, you know, I just watched a season of Love is Blind before, and like, you know, they really be getting married at the end of the season. I'm like, I know when you signed up for this show and you signed on a dotted line, they told you what this was about. When you was in the pods and you proposed to AD, you knew what this was about. So what do you mean? Get it together. Anyway, child, as you can see, I am not a fan of Clay. He has an interesting interaction with his dad. Hearing so much about his dad from Clay in the previous episodes, only thing I know about this man is that he is a gallus and he is a cheater, pumpkin eater. But yeah, so when I saw Clay's dad, I was like, oh, okay, cool. So they started talking about track and sports. I don't get the relation to sports and them playing to him getting married, unless they cut out a bunch of like the advice he probably should have gave his son on his wedding day. I didn't get the correlation. I can kind of see where Clay gets like this mentality from. Granted, I don't give Clay a pass because I feel like Clay is at that age where he should know better, or he should be seeking professional help, and he shouldn't be going on a reality TV show looking to find love and to get married at the end. Because we can all definitely go through things and we can still be traumatized by the things that happen in our childhood. Trust me, I know. But for me personally, the things that I'm struggling with as a 26-year-old woman, you would never see me on the show Love is Blind looking for a husband, because there's just certain things that I struggle with men specifically. I'm just like, I would never put like all of myself, my love, my trust into a complete stranger on national television. So basically they get to the altar, because I'm speeding past all of this. They get to the altar, and as AD is coming down the altar, I was like, she looks so good. So as she's coming down the altar, you know, Clay's mom was like, before she officially came down, she was basically like, you know, you're gonna feel so emotional as like, you know, she comes down. I don't know what it is, I don't know how to explain it, but you're gonna feel so emotional. Basically it's just like some phenomenon, right? Child, when AD came down the aisle, Clay was like, body, boom, 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 body. And then as AD is walking down the aisle, she's like, you see the material? You see the material? I was like, what is going on with these two? They're crazy as hell, which I'm gonna get into later, because I'm like, AD, are you in there? Wake up. Like, so when I saw his reaction was like body, I was watching this episode with my boyfriend and I was like, yo, he is so weird. Like, why is that his first reaction as she's coming down the aisle and that's his soon to be wife? It's not, oh, she looks beautiful, I'm so happy. No, it's like, body, you wearing that, girl. Okay, he didn't say it like that, but like, I'm just like, that is so strange. And then meanwhile, as like they're at the altar, both of them, AD, I think she was like complimenting him like, oh, you look so good. And he finally said, you look beautiful. He only said it one time. Now, once again, in Clay's defense, if he said, you look beautiful, and they edited it out, you got it, bro. But I'm pretty sure Clay only said it that one time. So as they're at the altar, AD is just talking about how much she loved him. She loved her man. She loved her man. He's smart. He's intelligent. They've been through a lot. She sees the potential. All the things. AD's vows were very beautiful. And if I didn't watch this show and I didn't know who Clay was, I would be like, this sounds like a good man, Savannah. But knowing who Clay is, I was like, girl, what the hell? I'm like, AD had on rose-colored glasses this whole time. Unless they edited Clay to make him look how they made him look. Because I'm like, I didn't see none of that. AD was like, oh, he's a provider, all of that. Clay did not come home on multiple instances. I'm not going to say he didn't come home, period, unless they were filming. But he didn't come home enough to where it was a thing for AD to mention in front of his mom. So he clearly was not coming home enough. As AD is saying her vows, Clay is looking all cheesy. He's like, yeah. So of course AD says, I do. Clay says, I don't think it's responsible for me to say I do in this moment. And when I tell you, my jaw dropped, because I was like, no, this man did not waste her time like that. Like, be freaking for real. But then I was also like, no, Clay did not waste our time. AD wasted our time. Because I'm like, Clay's actions and his words, it tracked to that very moment. And I think AD was the only one that was just like genuinely shocked, aside from her family and friends that obviously didn't know the magnitude of the situation. AD was heartbroken. She was shocked. She was like, Clay, don't do this. She had that soft voice that she had in the pods, and I low-key, I felt bad for her. I was like, damn, that is so embarrassing. Like, to be that delusional, to think that a man is gonna say I do to you when everything tracked to show that he was going to say I do not. I felt bad for her in that moment. Honestly, if I was her friends and her family and this wasn't a TV show, I was yelling at the TV screen, they need to square up. I'm sorry. Sometimes I resort to violence, and clearly violence is not the best answer. I don't resort to violence in my real life, by the way, but like when it comes to like scenarios like this, I'm always just quick to say like, this person needs their tail beat, because there's just no way you're acting like this. Or I was like, smack him in the face with the flowers. AD is genuinely confused about all of this. When she gets back to the suite by herself, she's like, I don't understand. I'm confused. When AD said that there is nothing that he could have done or said to change her answer, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, she's sick. Because I was like, you shouldn't be that down bad for a man that there's nothing that they can't do to make you walk away. That means that AD was willing to settle for anything, and clearly settle for Clay. Everything that she has to bring, I'm just like, I could see her with a man that truly loves her down so bad the way that she wants to, and it really hurt me. Like, I was watching a homegirl, I was like, no, like, you should never feel like that towards a man, and the right man will never make you feel like that. Yeah, so when Clay was on his separate side, his mom was basically like, yeah, you shouldn't say I do or yes unless you feel 100% comfortable, which I agree with. But I'm also like, Clay, you probably knew from the beginning that you wasn't feeling AD, and like it kind of showed and it kind of tracked. And he said that he wasn't trusting her finances, and then he was like, am I a husband? No. Am I deeply in love? No. And all of this he said within his confessional. So then he went to AD and they were in the suite, and he was basically like, oh, you know, you wouldn't want me to say I do to you if I'm not 100% ready, da 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 da. And she's basically like, in what world? I don't understand that. And I'm just like, it sounds like she's still ready to take this man back. Like, I'm sorry. I understand this is TV, but let me tell you something about myself, y'all. I would have gave these people TV, and this is why y'all will never see me on a reality TV show. Not only because I have a boyfriend, but there's just certain things like I don't play in real life. I don't put myself in certain situations because I know how I'm gonna react. So I'll be damned if I go on a show like this and I take it this far just for the guy to play me in this instance, and for him to think he could come to my suite and sweet talk me in my face. Oh, it would have been on and popping. They would have had a real finale, baby. I'm telling you, 100%. AD is like, so what are we gonna do? And Clay is like, well, I guess you're gonna have to run from me. I'm like, AD, get up. Like, stand up for righteousness. Like, what are you doing? Why are you this down bad? And I think also in her confessional, she was like, she was thinking it was her turn. Why is she never enough? And when she said that, I was just like, you need to be in therapy too. Prolonged therapy. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but clearly, once again, once you're that down bad for a man, when everything is just out the window, nothing matters, you just want to be picked so bad, yeah. You need to do like the inner work and the inner healing, because that's not okay. So yeah, they still ended up kissing. They was hugged up, and I was just like, girl, AD is sick, okay? Like, I'm sorry. I could not relate. So next we get to Johnny and Amy, and y'all, I don't got much to say about them. They got married. That's it. When I tell you Johnny and Amy did not catch my eye or like my attention outside of the fact that they was talking about birth control, and Johnny was acting like condoms was in a form of birth control. From what we saw, I just kept saying they're boring. Literally, I skipped through their wedding. I'm sorry, but they ended up married. I think they were like the only couple that genuinely connected with each other, and I was happy that they got married. But I was like, damn, they so boring. I was like, we only got like the whole birth control talk, the daddy, the whole suspense around the dad taking Johnny's blessing, which of course the dad did. Her dad loves her down so bad. I love that connection that they had. She looks so beautiful. Another thing that I will mention is that after they got married and like their personal confessional, Johnny was like, if he ever saw Amy outside of the pause, like outside of this experience, he wouldn't even approach her because he would think that, yo, this girl is so out of my league. And I was like, that's how Clay should be talking about AD, except we just get body, period. Look at the hips and the dips and that's all we get from Clay. But yeah, y'all, that is the season finale. Comment down your opinions on my opinions. What did you think of the season finale? What did you think of Jimmy and Chelsea? What did you think of Clay and AD? And what did you think of Amy and Johnny? And what do you think is gonna happen at the reunion? Because child, I don't know. But that's it, y'all. Bye.